system.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Season 2, Episode 13 of the phenomenon known to all as Saturday afternoon's main event. Is it hard to go ahead and figure out who I am? I mean, my name is right down there. I mean, it's not that hard, If you still don't know it, go back to school. But I'm just going to go ahead and let you know right now that the name, do not get it mixed up, is the phenomenal one. Yes, once more, I am here to give you laughs, good times, and all the wrestling news possible, but not on my own. I am joined right here today on Saturday afternoon's main event by the one, the only, Mr. Peeps Nate. Notice I ain't go ahead and just, pull out the whole...
I am here. I don't know if you can hear me. I can't even hear myself, but yes,
we can hear you.
I am here. Peeps Nate is here.
Yes,
how's everything going?
Oh, I'm doing fine, but it's crazy because now the fans may go ahead and get on me for this. Let me go ahead and give you the right introduction. The limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing son of a gun who is not having a hard time holding his alligators down. Give me 2 claps in the Peeps Nate. Woo!
Yes, the deep voice dynamo is back on here. How you guys doing?
There we go. We're feeling it. I know the crowd is feeling it. We're doing great. And of course, in the world of professional wrestling, we have so much to get to because this is probably one of the craziest weeks, if not by far, knowing the fact that it's probably the first time that we have this much going on, and it's only December, okay? It's only the first week of December, so God help us. But
yes,
certainly,
God help everybody.
Certainly, yes. But without further ado, we will go ahead and get into S.A.M.E with nothing else than what we introduced previously last week on the show, known to man as Fast Track, where we go ahead and we bring in some wrestling news, speak upon it for a good amount of seconds. Whatever the case may be, we have a couple of, topics that we can't go ahead and go over, but it's about 7 or 8. It's okay. Why? Because we will get into it in time. So, without further ado, let's get into the first one, and that is Trish Stratus making a return to WWE. Yes, you heard that correctly, and you're reading it correctly by it being right there on the tracker itself. Yes, Trish Stratus making a return to WWE. Not in the case that you would think she would, though. I mean, pretty much there is a live show going on in Toronto. Many fans, of course, will be there. And judging from the likes of it and judging from what Trish went ahead and put out on Twitter, she is going to be the host for this live show. Now, there is one thing that we do know about Vincent Kennedy McMahon, peeps, and that is he will stop at nothing to bring some of the stars that made him money back to the dance if it means that he is losing viewership. Am I wrong, peeps?
You are absolutely correct.
Why, thank you. So, now, the one thing people are saying is that we are getting 100% Stratusfaction at next year's WrestleMania. With who, you may ask? Well, let's just say the blueprint, the boss, the legit one, Sasha Banks. What do you see happening with this, peeps?
Well, what I'm looking at right now is, first of all, I have no problem with Trish Stratus coming back, even if it's for just one time there. She's literally and intrinsically left in the fabric of the WWE, going back to the WWF, one of the original pillars, if you will, of that new attitude era with the WWE Women's Division and how it started from the Divas and then turned over into what it is now. She's one of those
Yes,
pillars, one of those the progenitors, so to speak, of that
of
women's
course.
division. To bring
Yes,
her back, especially since she's from Toronto, knowing that she's going to be there, it makes perfect sense. So I have no problem with that. If they're going to try and wring the juice out of the nostalgia lemon and try to make lemonade out of it, I couldn't think of a better time to do it than at WrestleMania. And if they are indeed planting the seeds to get something going with Sasha Banks, that would be perfect. I would have no issue with that at all. And I don't think that there are certain people, certain places on a WrestleMania card where you would not have a problem with a nostalgia match,
yes,
especially if that person can still go. So this isn't as like she's going to go after a championship or anything like that. All she's doing is showing that she wants to give the fans, as you said, Stratusfaction. And hopefully for them, they do this the right way and it
yes.
works. So if they do it, it works fine. I have no problem with it.
Of course, knowing the fact that WrestleMania is going to be 2 nights next year, I mean, there is place for this on the card. And I mean, this can go ahead and be a certified moneymaker, especially if you want to go ahead and bring fans of the Ruthless Aggression era / Attitude, late Attitude era back, just to
Yes.
go ahead and actually want to see something amazing. That is the match that you want to see because, truth be told, they have went ahead and, I mean, they have put this out there since they went face to face against each other in the Royal Rumble. So, you know, we'll just have to see in due time, right?
Yes. The one thing I
But
will bring up, though, is that the WWE does lean, in a lot of instances, way too heavy on the nostalgic aspect of it. So I hope that this isn't
of course,
overkill when it comes to something that they do as
certainly,
they're booking WrestleMania going forward. So let's see what they do here.
certainly in due time. But speaking in due time, do we see another person leaving NXT to go to AEW? Why? Because I think it's self-evident knowing the fact that his wife just appeared on AEW Dark. Yes, Marina Safir has made her debut on an AEW Dark taping. The wife of the one, the only, head of the Diamond Mine, Roderick Strong. Peeps, this we don't really have to spend so much time on this because I think we all get the point here.
Yes.
Roderick Strong, time is up. You know, All Elite Wrestling, I think it's calling it Mount Rushmore. I'm hearing it ring through my headphones. I think I'm there when I say that Kevin Owens is going to be doing the same. And from that point on, we will go ahead and get Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, the Young Bucks, and Kevin Owens back on one crew on All Elite Wrestling. Do you think the same?
At this point, it's past Mount Rushmore. We're almost talking about the Statue of Liberty. We're talking about any kind of monument you can throw at us. The writing is on the wall. All of the veteran NXT wrestlers that are still on, that either are still in, have contracts with the WWE, or those that are still floating around that are showing that they can still be there. The problem is that, as we know, is to turn NXT into a breeding ground for tall, big guys, younger guys, not independent wrestlers that are of a certain height, a certain stature, certain age. So if that's what's going to be the case, then I don't even see outside of NXT. I personally don't even think I would see what Roderick Strong would have involvement in the WWE going forward because I don't think Vince McMahon would know what to do with a guy like that. So the Diamond Mine isn't even really the way it was when it was first booked because shortly after the Diamond Mine broke in, two wrestlers from the Diamond Mine were cut. So it's only a matter of time.
Yes, yes. So I guess congrats to Moreno on going ahead and making it to the other side and not having to go ahead and get released and probably having a good 30-day non-compete clause. She is now with All Elite Wrestling, and we will see the same for Roderick. So once more, in due time. Next topic on Fast Track, of course, is Eddie Kingston revealing that he has another AEW goal. Upon having an interview this past week on a podcast, Eddie Kingston went ahead and said that he was glad that he made it to AEW. Why? Because at the end of the day, he's making profit as being a contractor, an independent contractor for professional wrestling, which he hasn't been able to go ahead and do well, not able to do, but able to make profit from in his past years of doing professional wrestling. So he says that with having his nephew go ahead and tell his friends and yell out to the rest of the crowd that his uncle is a professional wrestler, he feels as if he has reached a peak in a certain part of his life where he feels completely okay. But he says he still has one more goal. That goal is to win an AEW title, whether it be the TNT Championship or the AEW title. He says that he, quote unquote, wants to be the one on the posters. The one that they say is AEW. He wants to be the face of Tony Khan's illustrious young company. Peeps, what do you think?
Very revealing conversation, very revealing into Eddie Kingston as far as what he wants to accomplish. I don't have a problem in the sense that that's what he's looking for. If you're a wrestler in the business today, you're going to have goals. I want to get and break in. I want to be the youngest to do X. I want to be able to win X amount of championships. I want to be a millionaire, whatever was the case. Everybody has those goals. But Eddie Kingston has been in the business so long. He's finally at a position right now, I think, within the company where he is making steady money. He could be booked anywhere in the world and he would confidently make a lot of money. So that goes without saying. I think the fact is now, he's been in AEW now for about a year and a half. He can actually go ahead and not only make that push, but he's got a built-in fan base now, so that if he does compete for an AEW championship or compete for a TNT championship, or if they decide to change the name to the TBS championship when AEW moves over to TBS next year, I could actually see him with a championship run. That TNT championship, though, would be a perfect icing on the cake. If they decided to put him in a tag team, let's say with John Moxley when he comes back from his rehab stint and gets back into the business, and they say, let's make a run at a tag team championship, I could see that. But going forward, he is probably one of the best people to go out there and say, I'm going to do something because I've been in it long enough. I've seen it. I've done it. And now let me push that forward and get something done. So I have a legacy outside of what I've already built, and then build that forward in AEW. I think that goes a long way to show you what kind of person he really is.
Yes, I can fully agree with you on that. Going from the world of AEW, we move forward to the world of WWE with them filing another trademark. And no, this is not WCW. Okay, this is now Tough Enough. Of course, we've seen in the past life of WWE, Ruthless Aggression era being the last good era, we have seen Tough Enough probably become one of those staples where it has created some of the greatest stars. Not Daniel Puder. But if you understand what I'm saying, I am speaking on Mike Mizanin. Of course, we have seen the Velveteen Dream come from Tough Enough. Not winning it fully, but of course we have seen him come from it. Many other WWE superstars or alumni that we have seen now so far going ahead and making a name for themselves in the company. But now it's back. They're saying that it is in terms of merchandise, sales, television, whatever the case may be. Peeps, do you think we need this now?
Well, the last time I checked, isn't NXT 2.0 already Tough Enough?
Exactly what I... Oh.
There's your first. I digress. If they're actually going to say that we need a Tough Enough to pick the next great wrestler, when they have a brand, if you want to call it a promotion, you want to call it a brand between Raw and SmackDown in this NXT 2.0, the unicorn division of WWE, as I like to call it. I think they already have a Tough Enough. If they want to turn this into a reality show like they did with the original Tough Enough and have people running around the ring like what they did with Titus O'Neil and having them run with a wheelbarrow and put a person in it, if that's all they want to do, then obviously it shows that the WWE doesn't care about wrestling. All they care about is the entertainment wing. But as I've said before, they are a content creation machine. That's all they care about is getting content out. If they that they can push and become a new star and it works, Okay. I don't think you're going to find the next Miz or anybody else like that. Maybe the next Maven, the next Nydia, that kind of thing. So I don't know. It is what it is. But as I said before, NXT 2.0 is already tough enough.
You made your case, peeps. You don't have to say anything else. But to go ahead and grind your gears a little more, we move into the next topic on Fast Track, and that is Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar taking up half the roster's allowance / salary. As reported by Forbes, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar are both earning $5 million annually.
Wow.
Peeps. So this is where the money's going. This is where we notice that there are no good actual professional wrestlers in WWE. This is what they got rid of Adam Cole, Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Aleister Black, Karrion Kross.
Okay.
Let me calm down a little bit.
Yeah. I'm going to parse my words.
I'll let you go for it.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay.
Yeah,
As I stated, and I've stated over the last 2 shows, I've talked about how much money the WWE has made in their earnings. And I made sure that I wrote it down and make sure that it was there front and center. For the third quarter earnings for the WWE in 2021, the company made $255 million, which is a 15% increase over what they made quarter over quarter from a year ago in that same time span, which is a $34 million profit. The WWE wrestlers, the talent, makes literally overall between 7.5% and 7.8% of that profit. Now you're going to tell me out of, let's say, the profit that they made, $10 million between the two of these wrestlers are making up all of that money, and then you don't have enough money to pay the other guys that are on their way out the door, and you wonder why the WWE has the reputation that they have, and then can go in a public forum and yammer out. I'm trying to be very PC here. I want to try to be as low-key as I can. I don't want to start yelling and screaming and going crazy. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that you got $10 million in a shoebox somewhere that you can give 2 wrestlers, one who is a full-time wrestler and one who only shows up once every season rolls around. Winter, spring, summer, and fall, that's the only time we see the Beast. And then you're going to say budget cuts is the problem? That stinks. And then you're going to have wrestlers cut promos and introduce that into their promo style to talk about the guys that got cut. Don't get me started on how hypocrisy has just run rampant through this company. But I digress again. You take it away from me before I start using language I don't want to use.
No problem, peace, but I'm just going to go ahead and piggyback on something that you just went ahead and actually said. Using them as bait for promos. We saw it happen with John Morrison. Edge went ahead and called it out. Shockingly, I didn't see that coming, but it came. Next thing you know, Liv does the same thing for Ruby Riott. Now, I sit there and I'm thinking to myself, Lord have mercy, what is going on? It's like Vince doesn't really care. Okay, now I'm kind of liking it because Vince is actually giving them the creative literacy that they would want to have, saying that they get to speak on whatever they want to speak on. Edge went ahead and used it this past week, stating that, Miz is actually getting his name out of another company's mouth just to go ahead and live in their heads rent-free. Would you expect that from Edge? Most likely. Not so much because, of course, Vince doesn't like giving out creative stances so much, but he did it with Liv. And Liv used it. Somehow, some way, it got attention. It sparked controversy. Wow. But the fact that he doesn't care, that he's really not paying these people, and he's letting them go, and he's allowing their comrades to use them in promos to talk about how bad their situation was to the point where they are paying people more money just to go ahead and get rid of their friends. Wow.
But you want to know the hypocrisy of this whole thing is? when the
Say it, sir.
promos and everything went back up on their social media accounts, those parts of their interviews were edited out. So that goes to show you that the backlash from using that from all of those promos that they did, and then they literally got backlash from not only online, but wrestlers in the back
Oh
because
yes.
there is a certain level of crassness that this displayed. Now I understand they're only using it just to use that to elevate their promos, which if you're looking at a promo, etc., it works. But to talk about somebody that just literally got cut and then using that as fodder for other wrestlers in there, they could have done it in a different way that it didn't come across the way that it did.
Of course it doesn't. But in the world of Vincent Kennedy McMahon, anything is possible, right? Even if you're bad mouthing a couple of other wrestlers that you went ahead and released. But
Yes.
I digress.
There you go.
Next topic that we move on is Toni Storm getting her revenge on Charlotte Flair. So I guess how does that taste for Charlotte Flair? No pun intended, knowing the fact that she got a pie to the face. But
Ah,
you know, um, where do we see this feud going?
the same place that it was headed 2 weeks ago to catering. Because, first of all, the WWE seems to have forgotten that Toni Storm was even on the roster. They brought her in after having a huge push at NXT UK. They brought her on NXT proper to showcase what she has. They fast tracked her by moving her up to the main roster, and the place where she had resided for about 2 months before they even remembered that she was there. And then the first thing that they did, they had her in an interview where she really didn't say anything. Backwards hat, etc., looking at the camera, whatever. First move is last week, that whole pie in the face thing. Which, if you're looking at it from a character standpoint of Toni Storm cutting this promo on Charlotte, saying, I'm living in your head, and you know you're going to lose to Becky, and then you're going to be upset. Okay, that works. And then Charlotte comes out, a nice tray of food, which we all know it wasn't made for the gobbledygooker, so we knew it was going to be used in that promo battle. To get two pies in the face and then not have any comeuppance, it literally made Toni Storm's character look like an absolute imbecile. That you would go ahead and let that happen, not the first time, but the second time, and not have a comeback or even walk towards it knowing that you're probably going to get hit in the face again. So, of course, we see what happened yesterday. Charlotte is cutting her promo. She's leaving. She has a back turn. And, of course, with the last couple of weeks we've seen on WWE TV, when the camera is there and somebody's back is turned, we got to make sure that a fan isn't running out there. So we know that that wasn't the case. Camera pans over to Toni Storm that I bet you she's going to do something. And literally what happened? Pie to the face to Charlotte, which was too sweet. There you go.
There you go, Pete. I'll throw up the Wolfpack sign for you. But
Yeah.
with your thought process on it, we get a comment from Hot Rod, and he says, "Be nice to my Flair. She's the queen of all time." Listen. I understand she's the queen. I understand. It's Charlotte Flair. Woo! From the Queen City.
Yes.
Listen, I'm sorry. Hot Rod, from all things, if she can't get a ring on it from Andrade, nevertheless, she's not queen in anything, my guy. I'm sorry. But that we'll get into later in the show for a fact. No hate, but it's just the truth. I'm sorry. Next topic and final topic is a rest in peace to WWE DVDs. It's the end of an era, peeps. We are no longer living in an era of buying DVDs from WWEshop.com or WWE Home Video. We are now in the era of going on the Peacock Network.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
Don't
just
get me
like...
started on that.
Listen, I have to, because right now, this is going to be a quick rant. The Peacock Network, which is just like the WWE Network, which is also placed at $9.99. And also on top of that, it's worse. Completely worse. We can sit there and watch World Wrestling Entertainment pay-per-views and it will go extinct in the next 30 or 45 minutes. They literally had to go ahead and add the rewind factor in about 4 months from the time that it was actually known that Peacock was going to be the father of WWE pay-per-views from this era. And now, no more do we get to go ahead and have an actual physical video library where we can pull out DVDs, pop open a Blu-ray player, sit there, and watch at least 3 to 4 hours of non-stop action. Notice I didn't say total because, of course, TNA is not one of those things where people like to go ahead and sit there and talk about so much. But I digress.
Trademark
Why?
patent
Because
pending.
yes, sir. Speak that into existence. But yes, no more DVDs, peeps. Wow, we're old.
Yeah, and not only that, it's also it's disgusting in the sense that one, if you don't, and this is going along with a lot of companies that are doing content creation, is that no longer are they offering physical medium. If you want to get something pretty soon, like if you're one of those people that buys movies, like we're seeing the owners of certain copyrights are now taking their content and putting it on their streaming services, Paramount Plus, and as you said, Peacock, Disney, ESPN, those kinds have their own streaming services. CNN, if you're into news, they're going to have their own streaming service sometime in January. So every place that you are able to get physical media, you're not going to be able to buy that. And the reason why I don't like that at all is because if you don't have the actual physical medium, and let's say you want to watch something, but you don't have access to streaming, you don't have access to paying X amount of money for that service, you can't watch that particular instance that you were there. I mean, we all know that Peacock has been editing a lot of their content because they want to make it PG for the people that actually stay on and consume their content. But if you want to watch it in its as close to original format, especially when they edit out old music, because remember, certain music that certain wrestlers came to the ring with were trademarked. And when the WWE uploads it to Peacock or any of the WWE Network arms, they edit out the trademark music. So now, if you wanted the original broadcast when it was on and it had certain music or whatever, you're not going to be able to get access to that unless you already own it either from VHS tape, yes, I said that, or DVDs and Blu-rays. And
Which
if you
may
don't
have copied,
exactly, and if you don't have the right bandwidth, you're not going to be able to see the WWE Network the way you want to, which is in its full glory with commercials in it. I'm digressing on that one also. So there we go.
listen, peeps, you're not wrong, because, just like you, I was one of those kids that was blessed with an uncle that would go ahead and copy WrestleManias just to go ahead and let you enjoy the fact that they didn't go ahead and take out the For Whom the Bell Tolls theme music when Triple H would come out at WrestleMania 27. I was blessed with that. Once I actually got the whole DVD at WWEshop.com, it was trademarked. Thanks, Vince.
Of course.
But you know something? Listen, I myself am always a VHS and DVD type kid, and thank God I still have that video library. But to the people that are not able to go ahead and fund for at least $10 a month just to go ahead and sit there and actually look at things, especially if you actually would want to go ahead and relive Roddy Piper's blackface, even though most of us didn't go ahead and care as much about it. Or, you were one of those that wanted to see Val Venus get his, exterior chopped off by the Chinese mafia on one episode.
Yes.
It's one of those things, but what can I say? We have to advance with the times, right?
It is what it is, and this is where we're going now with content. It's moving along the lines of streaming. Cell phone companies are making phones with no storage, so now everything is to the cloud. So you either have to buy a phone with a bigger memory, or you're just gonna have to pay more. There's no way to. Everything is streaming services. So this is where we're headed to right now. It's depressing, but what can you do?
Exactly. So just advance with the times, But Along with advancing into the times, we have to advance within the topic of the next, you know, I mean, this is a big topic. We spoke on it a little bit. So we'll get into it, peeps, because this was long overdue. Liv Morgan is finally getting that push that she deserved.
Yes.
For how long have we been waiting for this? How long? Just how long? Yes, Liv Morgan is going to be facing Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's title this Monday. How long did we wait for this? About a year or so. But we're getting it. Peeps! What do you think about this match coming into this in about 2 days or so? Peeps, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, I don't know if you heard the question because it's
we've been getting a couple of technical difficulties here, but I think that's Vince McMahon messing with your ISP. So
Vince just hates me this much. Hey, well, let's just say something.
Vince is coming after you.
You know something, Vince? Screw you and the rest of the world wrestling entertainment, except with the exception of Triple H. Okay, let's just put it that way. But I digress because if it is him screwing with my IP, even though right now it seems like it's running smoothly. Well, maybe it is just him listening with a couple of more FBI agents. But you know what? Screw you, Vince. You're fired. You don't own me, my guy. Let me shut up for a second, Let's move back into the show. Yes. What do you think about this?
I think, well, first of all, I like the fact that they remembered that she is got a charismatic character and that the fans want to see her get pushed. So that's one thing. Her promos have gotten better, and she's gotten much as she's even more compelling now because of the things that she's gone through within the last few weeks and months on television. So it brings another program along. It also goes to show what she can do now that she's been put in the victim of bullying kind of mindset, what they're doing. Becky is basically going on and saying, oh, you've never won the big one. You've never been able to do this. You've never been able to do that. Are you going to cry? Are you going? And that works because that sympathy with her character connects not only on camera, but with the fans in the places that they go and do the show. So if the audience is going to connect organically to her, this is the best way to go about it. And it works because I think that a lot of fans want to see her win. The question is, how long is this program going to be, especially knowing we have day one happening on January 1st. You've got the Royal Rumble, and then even though they're probably throwing another pay-per-view like February or March, you got WrestleMania on the horizon. So are they going to have Liv Morgan look very, very strong going into this and maybe tease like she can win? Or will they move this toward WrestleMania or another major pay-per-view and have her win the belt only for Becky to win it back? I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's a very strong thing to do.
Of course. I don't blame you on that. But I mean, with Liv itself, we have seen, a real change in demeanor, a real change in attitude. We've seen her evolve into a complete different women's wrestler. Of course, knowing the fact that there was no such thing as the Riot Squad anymore. Of course, she had to take on a life of her own, and we have seen many different reiterations of Liv Morgan, not to mention the one of which she had to go ahead and spoil Lana's wedding, which still we don't understand the whole storyline behind that. But I digress. The fact of the matter is that now Liv Morgan gets put in place and now having her own title shot against Becky Lynch. Now, to the fact of knowing that she may win it or not, I myself, as a fan of professional wrestling, would love to go ahead and see Liv Morgan go ahead and win the title. And especially knowing that it's on Raw, we've seen many different title changes on Raw when it comes to that women's title. We've seen it with Charlotte and Sasha Banks, on many different instances. So with this, Becky and Liv Morgan kind of gives you that feel to it. It gives you that real fight feel. Myself, if I have to be completely honest, if it comes, it comes. But I would love to see Liv Morgan win the title this Monday.
Yes.
That's almost every other fan at this very moment in time. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm okay with that. One thing that I do know is that this won't be the end of the feud. Liv Morgan will have many other chances. But if I'm being completely honest, if it goes the way that I think it goes, and she gets 2 chances, and she fails this Monday, and she fails at day 1, let's just say I already know who is going to be the winner of next year's Women's Royal Rumble. You're looking at her, Liv Morgan. I'll put that out right now, and I'll just say that.
Okay.
But we'll just have to wait and see.
You know what? I'm going to write that down. That today, December 4th.
Yes, Saturday, 12:39 p.m. Write it down.
Yes, 12:39 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
That the Phenomenal One thinks that there's going to be a Royal Rumble winner in Liv Morgan.
Certainly do think that. Trust me. Set it in stone. From my lips to Wrestling God's ears.
Yes, I will keep that there, and I'll look back on it to see if your prediction was right, or if you decided to step in from the past to predict the present. So we'll find out what happens.
We'll certainly find out what happens, but, we'll just have to wait and see. But with this match, final prediction, I myself, the fan in me wants Liv Morgan, but if not, and we have to go ahead and stick to reality, I see Big Time Bex taking the W here.
Yeah. The only question that I'll throw at you is, do you really believe that the WWE, you can trust them into actually following suit with something like this and having a payoff that the fans actually get to enjoy and want to see? Because we've seen Lord knows how many years, the WWE sometimes will stumble upon a great program and they'll have a great build-up, and then the payoff is absolute garbage. So let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that this plays out in a way that is great for Liv Morgan, who I think deserves better than what she's gotten, and then that there is something that she can celebrate going forward as well. I hope that that's where we're going.
True. But of course, this isn't Attitude Era, but I'm just going to go ahead and take this quick reference. Cup, 20 years, 24, 25, whatever the case may be, really long time ago, I wasn't even thought of. We had Mick Foley go ahead and win the title off The Rock. Of course, this is something that we all remember. WCW, knowing the fact that they were live and WWE was pre-taped and Eric Bischoff would somehow get the tapes beforehand, instantly knew that Foley was winning the title. So what did he do? He went ahead and spoiled the card. And he even said, hey, don't change the channel. I don't think you want to, because Mick Foley's about to go ahead and take the title off The Rock. What did every fan do? They changed the channel. They moved to USA Network. Why? Because they wanted to see Mick Foley win the title. There's one thing that I have to say about Vince. Vince makes the baby faces really look good. And when I say look good, this isn't like making Roman Reigns look good, because when Roman Reigns was a babyface, no one really turned their heads to him. But with this, every single fan that I know of is right behind Liv Morgan. There is not one fan that you do not know that will not go ahead and tell you, listen, Liv Morgan is built for having a women's title on her. If Vince wants to go in the right direction, I certainly do believe that we will get to see the coronation of a new women's champion in Liv Morgan. But also knowing Vince, he likes to build the story to go a little further. That is why I'm saying, if he wants to go that direction, and he wants to move in the way of saying that, okay, let's have her lose twice, and let it be 3 times the charm. Because, truth be told, if we have Monday Night Raw this Monday, and we have Becky going ahead and facing her at day 1 once more for that title, and then losing again, something will click in her mind. Becky will go ahead and move on to other competitors for that duration. Then once Royal Rumble comes around, those 25 days after, there isn't nobody else that you can possibly go ahead and say right now, other than Shayna Baszler, but God bless her soul, Vince will not go ahead and give her that shot. The only person I can see deemed of having to go ahead and take that W is Liv Morgan. Point blank, period. Let's just hope. Let's just hope and pray.
Yes.
But, with that, we end the first half of Saturday afternoon's main event. We'll go ahead and we'll have a 30-second break to it. Do not worry about it. We will come back within 30 seconds. Just take a little break, and then we will move into our glorious, illustrious, amazing questions. So don't go anywhere. The second half of Saturday afternoon's main event will be right back. So, of course, now we are back on the second half of S.A.M.E, and we will go ahead and move into the questions as said before. Now, of course, I always tell you guys, if you want to go ahead and send in your questions, go ahead and send them in at Saturday afternoons _ main event on Instagram. Once more, Saturday afternoons _ main event. Now, we will go ahead and move into these questions, with the first one being from Tua is a GOAT 13. And he says, is the pizza and catering that good to the point that Elias wouldn't want to be on television? What's up with the hate so early? Jeez.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Shoot. Damn.
At this point, I think Elias is actually selling the pizza elsewhere. I don't even think he's part of catering anymore. They did that whole vignette where he was basically buried. They showed a grave. They showed him like it was an interesting looking vignette, but I was like, okay, where are they going with it? That was what, almost 3 months ago? We were talking like almost at the end of the summer.
Yep.
And we haven't seen him since. So unless Elias is walking with WWE, he may be doing an endless walk out to past catering and to unemployment, because I haven't seen or heard from him since. So if that's what they're doing with him, I don't know, but that pizza better be damn good.
Oh, yes. If it is that damn good. Shout out to my dog Triple H. I mean, man, the punches keep coming to me every week. It's like it gets stronger and it gets better by the minute. But, shoot. Listen, I wouldn't mind seeing Elias on television anymore, but, something got to give. It's not like the
I'm sorry. The gimmick was, as far as I'm concerned, the gimmick was absolutely awful. I hated the gimmick with a passion. But he's got a good look. You can tell he's got a physique. And I think he's pretty decent in the ring. But that character was I think it reached its pinnacle when he got into that feud with John Cena. That's literally about the best it was going to get. And then it kind of started to flounder and kind of wane and move around. They had nothing else for him. So I think they needed to do something as fresher. They needed to freshen the character up. But at that point, there's nothing else you can do with the character.
Oh, yeah. We really can. But speaking of John Cena, we move into the next question from Student of Thugonomics, and he says, word on the street is that Charlotte broke up with Andrade. Guess you can say that he can't be cool with Rick because he's not a 60-minute man. Mic drop. Oh, God. Oh, God.
Wow.
Whoa. The hate is real this episode.
Wow.
Whoa.
Kick him in the groin. It would be less painful. Good grief.
God.
I'll tell you this. I think that from last week, what I read up on was the fact that Andrade and Charlotte had unfollowed each other on social media. I think Andrade stopped following Charlotte on social media. And that was the last I heard of it. So if they've split up, or maybe they're just doing that so that they don't communicate with each other through WWE, maybe there was an edict back and forth. We don't know what's going on. But it is, from what we've talked about in the past with wrestlers that are married, that are in different companies. We know that Cedric Alexander's wife is Big Swole, who is was in AEW and is no longer there. I think she asked for her release. Yeah. We have a myriad of other wrestlers that are in the business that are married. One wrestler is in one company, another is in another company. Those kinds of things can be very difficult, and I'm not saying that they are from what we know of, but it's very tough to be in the wrestling business, and unless you are together with each other, it's very difficult to keep a relationship up long distance when one wrestler is on one side of the country and then the other one is on another side of the country, and then they completely miss each other going into different arenas and different markets. So
Yes, of course. I mean, I mean, trust me, I'm trying to go ahead and get to the professional perspective of this question, but it's so hard just because that last line just it sets off
yeah,
that whole different perspective. But geez, okay,
yes,
like you said, peeps, yeah, it just has to go ahead and put in the factor that they're both from different companies. It just makes it harder for anything else. But you know, it's just hard for me to go ahead and focus on this question. But I have to say, if it is the end, you know, maybe down the line, there something will happen. Something has to give. But I mean, there's so much that you can go ahead and put in to going ahead and actually speaking on a professional wrestler's relationship with another one. But sometimes they say that you can't eat where you do your dirty work. That's what they usually say. Maybe this was
yes,
one of those cases where you just have to go ahead and put this as an example too. But if not, who knows? I myself, peeps, as I said,
yeah.
God, like, wow, 60-minute man. Okay,
Yeah,
student
and plus,
economics.
it's their personal life. I wish them
Exactly.
the best as far as what they're doing with it, because it's far be it for me to be delving in someone else's personal life. That's none of my business.
Exactly.
And in all reality, it shouldn't be any of ours. But if that is the case, and they announce that to the world, and that's what they want to do, then I hope that they both can move on and they can continue their careers the way they're going, because they both are stars. That's
Exactly,
where
man.
I'll leave it.
Exactly. So, from that question, we move on to Tombstone City Adam. Shout out my dog,
Hey.
Gorilla Monsoon. He says, is it just me or does Cody Rhodes have a death wish?
Hmm.
I guess he does.
I'm gonna have a rant on that match that he had with Andrade.
Well, before you do, I mean,
I'm not
I
gonna do
guess
it
that settles.
now, but when we talk about it later on in the show, I'm gonna rant on that. So,
That's all we
but
had to
I
say
will
today.
digress, and I will leave it up to my tag team partner.
I myself, but he got a death wish. Yes, he has a death wish. Cody Rhodes has a death wish. I don't know if it's just that he wants to, tell Dustin that he's a daredevil and that he's completely better than him and he wants to defy all odds. Do that, my guy. But listen, moonsaulting off a steel cage thinking that you're Jimmy Superfly Snuka or Rey Mysterio, that's one thing. Putting yourself through that kind of you that thing was so miscalculated, peeps. I sat there and I thought to myself, wait, hold on. Cause I try to go ahead, like math is not my strongest subject, but I looked at this and I was like, listen, this makes for some good geometry. I think this is like way off. The table has to be moved a little more far out if you're trying to go ahead and have Andrade land on this. But I had to say I digress. And once the
Yeah,
spot
there you
actually
go.
happened, I'm thinking he's just gonna go ahead and go through a table. Then Brandy Rhodes, of all people, God bless her soul, she comes through, lighter fluid, lights up the table, and I'm sitting there like, EC
Yeah.
dub, EC dub, and God, man was still on fire even after being put through the table. Like, shoot, okay, and the oh my, listen, look, all I can say, Tombstone City Adam, the man has a death wish. I'll leave the rest for the topic at hand. But certainly, we thank you for that question because, yes, he does have a death wish. I'll answer it for peeps and myself.
Yes.
And of course, I always say this. Guys, we love the questions. The questions are always top tier. I don't know about student of thugonomics is one, but Lord have mercy. Listen,
Yeah.
guys, send them in. We love going ahead and answering them. We love talking about them. We love indulging into laughs with them. Right there at the bottom at Saturday afternoons _ main event on Instagram. Guaranteed to be on the show next Saturday. Come on, we got y'all. But without further ado, let's get into the final topic of today's episode. And as I said before, God bless Cody Rhodes. God bless the man. Why? Because he wanted to defy all odds and pull off probably one of the biggest stunts I've seen in the modern era so far. This man really said, shoot, Brandy, light the table up. I'll go ahead and I'll do what I have to do at the end. Puts himself through a whole table. Still on fire after. This man posts the picture of the aftermath on Instagram. I'm sitting there from... God. Too graphic for television, I'm telling you. If I posted this all right here and I did that instead of this picture, trust me, I probably would have gotten demonetized, but we do not want that here on this episode of Saturday Afternoon's Main Event. So we had to go with this much more PG-friendly picture, even though it's not so PG. Peeps, what do you think of this whole match? Because you said that you had a rant. Talk.
First of all, I really enjoyed the match. That wasn't even the issue. First of all, it was violent from the word go. They get after each other. They went back and forth. They were doing all of the things that you would expect within the context of it, including Cody being busted open. We saw his head split open. The going back and forth. They threw each other in the ring. Everything in this match, for the most part, I thoroughly enjoyed. Let's go fast forward to the ending of the match. That table spot that you just stated, that you just showed. I had no problem with the table spot. And even bringing Brandy in to do what she was going to do. The problem that I had with this whole entire deal was there was no reason to have the table on fire. And the reason why I say that is because it came across as something out of the blue just to pop a crowd. Now, this is my rant. I have been a wrestling fan for far numerous amount of years, and a lot of people that know me know how long I've been looking at wrestling. I've been looking at wrestling since I was 4. So that should tell you something. Now, knowing I've seen barbed wire matches, I've seen tables matches, I've seen scaffold matches, I've seen lots of cage matches, I've seen a lot of specialty matches. This match was violent enough without the fire, without the flame. And the problem with adding flame or like thumbtacks, which you've heard me rant on before, is that it's, not to say fire is overdone, there is an unpredictable element to fire that does not need to be brought into a match like this. The match that they had between Andrade and Cody, they were just as very good. If there was no fire, I'll ask you this question. If there was no fire in this match, would you have said that this was a really good physical, falls count anywhere, hardcore type of match?
Yes, of course.
Okay. If you are the regular wrestling fan that the diehard wrestling fan that loves what we love, that we look at, you loved the physicality of the match. You loved all the weapons that were in there.
The aggressiveness. I mean, the storytelling too, because I mean, you know, not to mention, with Cody going ahead and taking out some of the weapons. Not to mention, if you're the type of wrestling fan that likes to go ahead and look at Easter eggs, this man brings out the sledgehammer, looks at it for a fat second, puts it out, then brings in the golden shovel.
Yes.
Who was he referring to? We don't know. But of course, anytime you use the golden shovel in terms of wrestling, you think of Jonathan Anthony Felix Cena. Was he throwing shots at Cena? Probably not. Was he throwing shots at Triple H? Maybe so. Why? Because he likes to say that they like to bury their wrestlers. But I'm saying, the storytelling, amazing. Everything about this match was good. I'm telling you, what you're saying is completely correct. The use of adding fire to the table. Now, of course, yes, I like extreme wrestling. I like everything about it. When I saw the flaming table, I was like, oh, this is something new. If it was just a table, it wouldn't make any difference. I mean, did they really think that the match was dragging? Of course not. To me, it wasn't. To them, probably. But I don't see what the point of having to put the table on fire. It just doesn't make any sense. But I digress. Peeps, you can continue.
Okay. I understand. But I look at it, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of the context of the match. I understand unless this is going to be the last time they face each other, which I don't think is the case. I'm not sure. I
No,
don't know what
can't
Cody's
be.
plans are going to be for this feud. We saw what happened with the Malachi Black feud, and then with the Andrade involved in this one, and all the things, the elements that were involved. It was not needed.
Of
And
course.
I think this goes to things that I have heard online from fans of AEW that either like Cody Rhodes or think Cody is trying to do too much to curry favor in the wrestling community or with the fan base. I thoroughly enjoy a lot of the matches that Cody has. I've watched him since he was first in the business, starting off young with the yellow wrestling boots and the Triforce symbol on the boots, no knee pads, and then evolving with the mustache and then the broken nose and the face mask and all of the things that he's done to Stardust to where he is now. He has evolved. But I think what he's doing now is he's trying to kind of cement his legacy as to what he's doing with his involvement with AEW, helping being the one of those creators of this company and being an executive vice president, doing all the things that he needs to do to push this company forward. But I think in some instances it comes across like he's trying too hard. There are certain things that he's doing that I have no problem with. But as we heard, they were in Atlanta for this show, and the Atlanta fans loved what they saw up to a point. And I don't know if you noticed it, that there were some boobers because Cody's been getting booed in a lot of arenas over the
Yes.
last couple of months. And I think he's trying to kind of quell the fans that were there in the building, at the same time, quell the critics as well. The flame did not need to be there. The only other thing that they could have probably added was thumbtacks and glass and swords and maybe a couple of bear traps. It wasn't needed. The match was fine perfectly. If they finished the match with like a Spanish fly or a power bomb or whatever off the top rope through the table and that was it, perfectly fine with that. But they did not need to add the flaming part of it because it just it just came across as out of place for this match. It's at least for me anyway. I'm sure that there are fans that love that whole extra added part of it, but for me, it was overkill.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I don't blame you. Peeps, I really don't blame you. Because at the end of the day, as you said, it wasn't needed. It really wasn't needed. I'm telling you. Because, truth be told, as I said, runs into this. I mean, okay, cool, whatever. Off the table, whatever. Was it the fact that he probably wants to go ahead and include this into a promo saying that he put his body on the line for this business, but these people turned on me? Maybe because he is going for a heel turn. Maybe in the works. So maybe he'll use this towards an extent to go ahead and say and put out how much he really has put his blood, sweat, and tears into this business. And the
Andrade is
people
a talent. What happens if Andrade got a burn that he would take him off the roster for X amount of time? Cody he's on the show when his schedule allows him, so he's not
yeah,
necessarily a full time wrestler in the sense that a lot of the other talent is. So he will show up in these feuds here and there. So if something, God forbid, happened where he got hurt, as we saw I actually saw the pictures of his back, and he looked,
yes.
it looked horrible. But that's the risk you run when you put fire in the middle of a match. You know, I mean,
Not even.
like I said, we've seen Foley and Edge, and we've seen other
Oh, yeah.
stuff in ECW and the branding irons and all that other stuff. That was a different era, and we're trying to prove certain different things. This is 2021. You don't need to use fire to show that you are a hardcore type of talent. All of the other stuff that was involved in the match was fine. Like you stated, the storytelling stuff that they did with the shovel, with the sledgehammer, all of those references that were unspoken worked fine. We knew what they meant.
Exactly.
They didn't need to put the fire out there. That was, to me, that was just overkill. But I digress. And that's number 7. There you go. I wrote it down. That's number 7. So the over under for next week is a 7.
Over under next week is a 7. Okay. Everybody
Yeah.
put your bets out right now. Okay. Trying to see what the over under is. Okay. But I'm
Yes.
probably going to say over. Because in this world of professional wrestling, Vince and Kenny McMahon likes going ahead and doing a lot of things to tick off Mr. Peeps Nate. So just wait and see. All right. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. But, without further ado, this match, pretty good. Hopefully we see a lot of this without the fire. That's all I'm saying. But this match was really good. It really was. It did a lot of things in it. I mean, still, Cody, God bless your soul. Because I don't see, because after that whole dilemma, the man was still on fire. You even noticed, because, of course, once he was still on fire and his arm was pretty much over Andrade for the count, Andrade started trying to go ahead and tap out the fire for him,
Yes.
And I was like, okay, so it's like he didn't sell it perfectly because, of course, the man is still on fire.
Yeah, this was almost an FMW kind of deal. The only thing that they didn't have was the fire extinguishers.
Yeah, because, that was the one thing. I guess, probably just to go ahead and keep authenticity, they decided not to go ahead and include our fire extinguishers. But I guess the smell of singed skin was not enjoyable to the fans in Atlanta. Let's just put it that way.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think the smell of singed anything was something that the fans were anticipating. So go figure.
Go figure, right? But you get the point, peeps. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, once more, we always go ahead and thank you guys, because truth be told, you guys are here to go ahead and just listen to what we do as analysts of this amazing sport called professional wrestling. And we have finally went ahead and put an end to episode 13. Yes, this episode is over. Hour in, yes, it's over. I understand, but listen.
Yeah.
It's always fun to go ahead and be here with you guys. It's always fun to go ahead and give out our ideas and topics on the world of professional wrestling. And we thank you guys for going ahead and sitting here and listening to it with us. As I always say, for updates, questions, whatever the case may be, you go ahead and you check us out on IG and Twitter. Of course, on IG, as I always say it, Peep is pointed down to it at Saturday Afternoons _main event, and on Twitter at Saturday Main. Of course, we're going to go ahead and be up for next week, episode 14, so always stay tuned for that. This week, we may just go ahead and put out a couple of polls for you guys, so go ahead, look into that, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter for those polls, just to be a part of something cool. And it's with that I leave you on this episode of Season 2 of Saturday Afternoon's Main Event. That I, the one, the only, the phenomenal one,
And I, the Pete's Nate, where we came,
we saw,
and in the words of Paul Heyman, we conquered.
we conquered. Yes, he said it, and yes, it is the end. The end is near. No Armageddon type beat, but you get the point. We will see you next week, Saturday at noon, for episode 14. It's with that from me, the phenomenal one, and from the Peeps Nate, that we sign off. Goodbye. Peace, love, farewell.